Mist back there. You could...
My name is Jerry Slonix. I live out by Silver Lake Road, and I occasionally do things with the Land Conservancy. Haven't for a while because I've been involved in other things.
But you're going to come pull garlic mustard this year.
Good.
My name's Chris. I just like to hike, so glad to come out today.
Yep.
Hey.
Monty Peters. I'm one of these Neaites, along Jerry and Elliot and
Great.
Lawrence.
Part of the gang.
Well, it took me longer to walk here than I thought. I miscalculated.
You're here though.
But, but
Well, you got to miss my intro. So that's good.
All right, let's hit the trail.
William, do you want to introduce yourself?
Oh, we missed William.
Hi,
Can I say a couple things?
Sure. I think we should get rolling, but go ahead.
Which school do you go to?
Old Mission.
Who you belong to?
If I don't mind, just say a couple things. I was on the one of the founding board members of the Conservancy. We stole Glenn away from the Little Traverse Conservancy, which is the best thing we ever did. And this was our first really big project. And so to see it grow from what it once was to what it is today is really exciting. It's a beautiful place, but more importantly, what the Conservancy is doing is a beautiful thing for the area. And so all of you who've contributed, we all appreciate it very much, because the Conservancy couldn't do it without everybody who pitches in. So when Abby asked me if I'd help her on the field trip today, no problem, because I love this place. You are missing a real treat. In the summer, this has got world-class mosquitoes. And so we're gonna be forgiven on those today, which is good. If you, as Ab said, if you see something, first of all, we're open to any kinds of questions between us and Tom
and Nate.
And Nate. If Nate hadn't talked about white-winged crossbills yesterday, we would have never seen him here, because I wouldn't have had him in my brain, and it was so great to see him. Tom's knows more about, Tom's forgotten more about birds than I know about birds, even though I've taught ornithology, but I know this guy really knows birds. So we've got some great experts along. We're going to talk about some of the winter trees. Obviously they grow all year round, but they look a little different in the winter, so that's something we can talk about. Tracks aren't the greatest because of the weather, but we'll try to point out some of the different tracks so you get an idea of a squirrel versus a mouse. I mean, I know size is part of that, but there's other things as well. And we'll talk about some of the natural communities that are here, and then anything else anybody wants to talk about, we'd be happy to share with you. I think the group is still small enough. It'll be a little bit of a challenge, but rather than split up, I think we'll just stay together.
Yeah.
But we'll try to make sure everybody hears. So we'll make a few sort of scheduled stops and gather us all in a big group. The trail is a little narrow. Again, in the summertime, you can kind of spread out a little bit, and it'll make a little bit of a challenge. But so just glad you're all here.
We noticed yesterday if you get off the trail, you sink a little bit.
Like right to here.
Yeah.
I have a question. How bad have the deer deforested back in here? I know they think nothing about coming from here over to Netawana Point.
We saw deer tracks yesterday. We know they're here, but we were also noticing the cedar look really good, which is their prime food. So that's one of your first signs of overpopulation, you know.
That's because they're all over there eating.
We had 8 this morning on
Did you really?
Wow. Oh, wow.
I would strongly encourage you to have venison on your table menu. But in terms of the damage here, it's not.
The question is getting it from the field to the table.
I don't care how you do it. Use your Subaru, whatever.
Yeah, that's a thought.
I mean, one of the special things about this preserve is it's a natural habitat without many deer. I love deer as much as anybody, although we have talked about starting a class at Au Sable Bio 30-06 where we'd show students how to nuke deer. But deer are changing northern Michigan's forests. When this area was originally, when Europeans first came here, of course, to cut all the trees down, there weren't many deer. Those mature forests didn't support deer. And today we've got the ideal habitat for deer. And all over, not just here, but all over North America, really, deer are exploding. And that was a chunk of snow. So deer control should be done out here, because this preserve, it's still got yew, it's got young cedars, things like that, that if deer got in big numbers, those would all be wiped out. To see a woods where deer had really damaged it, and then they put an exclosure in and go back just a couple years later, it's phenomenal. So remember, every day a deer right now is eating a lot of buds and twigs and so on, and they got to eat too, but it really makes a difference.
We did notice this past year a little bit of deer damage on the ewe, which we hadn't seen as much in the past, so it's something we need to keep an eye on this coming year.
We did see a few deer tracks yesterday, but the place is not overrun with deer, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And Abby, you should note that you're updating the management plan. In fact, Osabo Institute, where Dave...
Yep, they drafted a copy for us, yeah.
So.
Yeah, we're in the process of finalizing our management plan. We still have to go through the input process and everything, but we are working to do an updated plan for the property.
So at the end of the field trip, we're all going out to that shooting range at Wilderness, and everyone's practicing.
Oh, goodness. Okay, we'll get people moving.